Hello, my name is Özlem Sarioglu, and this is the coaching program sponsored by Sparkus, a coaching tech company that optimizes coaching and mentoring solutions for cultural transformation, talent, and leadership development within organizations. Welcome to the show. Hello, coaching passionates around the globe. Welcome. You're listening to The Coaching Program, the show that brings you tips and tricks of designing and implementing successful coaching programs within your organization. I'm your host, Özlem Sarioglu, a professional coach and co-founder of Sparkus digital coaching platform, which scales meaningful coaching experiences to larger audiences within organizations. Today, my guest is someone close to home, my business partner and co-founder of Sparkus. Dani Benreytan is here with me, and we'll discuss the very hot topic of coaching technologies. So, Dani, welcome. It's great to have you here as a guest. Can you I just made a very short intro, but can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hello, everyone. As Özlem mentioned, I'm the co-founder of Sparkus. My name is Dani. I'm responsible from the product side and the design process of Sparkus coaching platform, as well as program design of some of our clients. I'm the one you come to when there's a need for a new implementation, something new or something to be fixed in the program. I'm the designer, let's say, and the tech guy of Sparkus.
And, since you mentioned that you're the tech guy, I would just generally ask, we know that coaching technologies are very much on the spot right now, so it's a newly developing field. So what kind of solutions are there covered under the title of coaching technologies?
Okay, let me walk you over a few of the areas of coaching implementation with tech. First of all, the first thing comes to mind when we talk about coaching technology is actually coaching technology solutions of internal marketplaces for coaching. So these are basically replicas of admin tools that most of companies are addressing with Excel files or some sort of forms. These solutions actually take over that administration case, match the employees with the most adequate coach, and they track the sessions as well as the development progress on the platform. So these are what I call coaching marketplaces or internal coaching marketplaces. The second end of the tier is action-based coaching with some AI capabilities or without some AI capabilities. These are coaching tools that somehow resembles coaching, but not 100% what we understand from coaching. These are tools to help user or employee to get in action in certain areas. For example, it might be a feedback coach that with some AI capabilities reminds the leader to give feedback or reminds the leader to give in a certain way feedback to their employees. Or another example might be reminders of development actions, take some actions toward this development area. Or it might be just a coach to remind you to stop and take deep breaths. It's like smartwatches reminding you some sort of behavioral change. These are mostly and exclusively based on scalable technologies, somehow process data that in turn generates some sort of nudges that in turn have a kind of either behavioral change or taking some sort of action. So these are AI tools, and a subgenre of these tools may be chatbots, where you go in, ask some questions, and the decision tree programmed in the backend help you direct you into the right content or into the right reminder that helps you solve your problem. So this is a third kind of coaching technology solutions where the chatbot or the technology itself assess data, get some input from your side, and in turn gives you an output of an action or any kind of direction that helps you to decide easier. These are more or less work like a decision tree. A quick example of this is actually we can see in training coaching and learning coaching. So it can be integrated to LMS, or it can be integrated to any kind of training or action set that user can log in, answer a couple of questions, and the technology direct the user to the right solution. And in turn, if it's integrated into an LMS, that solution might be a curated set of trainings that he or she can benefit from based on the answers they give. So these are, let's say, decision enhancers.
So a little bit like Netflix for
Yeah, it works like a Netflix. Actually, there are better tools than Netflix to help you find the right content to watch at that time. For example, there are mood-based Flix search in the internet that can filter your Netflix content based on what you need right now. So, do you know this feeling when you go into Netflix, you spend around half an hour or to an hour to try to find what to watch, and you just exhaust yourself and close the TV or switch to YouTube, watch some short movies, and go to sleep.
Yeah.
Anyway, these tools actually help you benefit from that Netflix side. Yes, Netflix gives you AI-based recommendations, but again, the decision support tools helps you to filter a vast set of options to a focused one. And so these are three basic coaching tools that is available in the market, and there's a fourth kind where Sparkus resides in actually. This is a mix of technologies that actually focuses on coaching experience rather than managing the admin side or directing the decision. So these tools actually focuses on the definition of coaching made by ICF, International Coaching Federation, which includes the word partnering with the employee to drive the development and to drive the success of the process. So these tools, again, Sparkus is one of them, helps the employee experience coaching beforehand of coming together with the coach. So the technology helps the employee to get a taste of coaching, as well as generate their coachable content. So it's not only a set of questions that are a set of multiple choices. These are open-ended questions, open-ended exercises that in turn actually mimic a real-life coaching session that prepares the employee to receive coaching, as well as generates a report of the content generated by the employee for the coach or whoever will be the coach in that program to help direct their time together to generate most impact. So it's a blended approach. There are some tools that implement this kind of solution. You can see some sort of leadership development tools, culture tools that, let's say, tiptoe around this type of approach. And just to, I don't want to brag about it, but again, Sparkus is the solution that benefits from design of mimicking a real coaching experience into tech. Therefore, there are some other benefits to scale coaching within that realm.
Yeah, I mean, you're the designer, so you can probably brag about it, thinking about the design side. Just a quick storytelling to the listeners. Dani came up with the idea of digitalizing the coaching process. And me being a professional coach, I said like, oh, come on, it's not possible. It's a very human to human interaction, and you cannot digitalize the process. But actually, Dani convinced me that it is possible. And of course, not just Dani, but once you go out there and people experiencing it, and as a coach, seeing what the effect is, and how it actually not only measures but also improves coachability for the people who are going through it, um, made me believe in this whole idea. And yeah, now we're here for that.
Just to work on your point, uh, actually Sparkus is designed to partner with the employee to help them grow in their own journey, to help them continue in their journey. So the basic idea at the seed, at the core of Sparkus is actually is parallel to what ICF defines coaching.
Yeah.
So the platform actually kickstarts the coaching process right in the platform. That's where Sparkus fits in actually.
And you mentioned the design of it. We just talked about the design a lot. So maybe not just speaking in terms of what Sparkus does, but generally speaking, because our audience is responsible to run, most of them probably are responsible to run coaching programs. So I would just like to take the perspective a little bit broader. How do you design a coaching program for clients?
Actually, to design a successful coaching program, it's good to use design thinking tools. Not only because I'm a designer, but because I know it works. First thing you do, you make a list of all the stakeholders in the program. Who is the coachee? What are the personas of this coachee group? Which employees are the body of that, coaching program, and who are the fringe personas? So you make a list of stakeholders and you make a sub list of personas for that program, and that's the starting point. So from that point on, it's great to do some insight meetings with those personas. You don't have to go on full-fledged and make an interview with every user. You can select the personas and at least have a couple of insight meetings with them. The point where you feel like you are hearing the similar things again and again, that's the point you can say, okay, we did enough insight meetings. With those insight meetings, you understand the needs, internal resistances, and what motivates those personas to do as you want and to drive them forward in the program. So that's what I recommend. And after generating enough ideas, it's great to test and pilot. And in the testing and piloting stage, I recommend to use agile tools, as agile as possible, because with the first implementation, you learn a lot. I know some of our listeners will say, I cannot do any kind of pilot. I will run the program in a large scale. So I strongly recommend to select 5 to 10 users, maybe if the scale is really large, then 50 users. Run a couple of cohorts before launching the program and learn from running the program. And at the end of the pilot, implement what you learn from that pilot. Actually, at the end of each cohort, implement as much as possible your learnings. That is actually key to a successful project, because successful projects are not successful because they start successful. They become successful along the way with these tweaks and improvements. So that's the problem.
Yeah, and yeah, I what I learned working with you, this is the beauty of working with a designer, maybe, was actually to throw away all the success stories and throw away all the, uh, we know it all, we've done it in other places kind of a mentality, but really to start from scratch. Just going there and saying like, okay, it probably won't work, let's find a way how it will really work. So I was inspired by that when working with you. And then let's say I also liked what you said about the cohorts, because sometimes pilots are not possible all the time. You have to start something for the whole team. But at least even then, just starting with cohorts is a good one. Just to try at least the first cohorts as a mini pilot. I mean, you know it yourself as the running people, but that's also an important point. And the other question that we have a lot, especially when we're talking about HR and technology coming together, when an organization is embarking on any HR tech solution, doesn't necessarily have to be a coaching solution, but the IT infrastructure, security, GDPR, those are all important considerations. And I know that sometimes with the concerns around that, HR basically don't even want to look into that perspective of like how to digitalize it, saying like, oh, it will be a big chunk of events. So how to handle these issues more smoothly? What would you say?
First of all, select a good vendor. It's a short answer, but
Yeah.
one step
Yeah.
further, it's important to understand each client, each project is different, and each company has their own IT expectations. So the starting point, in my opinion, might be to partner up with the right vendor, understand their capabilities. For example, if you're an enterprise client, you will have enterprise level needs in terms of IT, and you need to partner up with a vendor that has that know-how. And the second part of it is to put in contact your IT department with the vendor as soon as possible. Don't wait for the approval. Most of vendors will be happy to meet with your IT team beforehand, so they can understand the real requirements, the inner culture, what is possible and what is not. So it's not only requirements; it's also to build up that trust with the IT. That takes time. I remember with one of our projects, it took around a couple of quarters to build up that trust. Until then, we started with small trials as well as going with the pilots again. However, on the other hand, it really is important to partner up with a vendor that knows about data, security, GDPR. A basic question that you can ask: are you having your periodical penetration tests? That's the key question that you can ask to any vendor. If they are serious about it, they will have a periodic pen tests done by impartial security company. And like the other question that you can ask: how do you protect the data? Because in this digital world, no data and no cyber security is unbreakable. However, there are some options that you can use to protect the data of your users, even if the data is somehow breached or somehow your cyber securities fail. Encryption is one of them. Detaching users from their data is one of them. So there are different methods there. What I recommend to HR professionals is to ask these questions. Get a basic know-how, and include IT as soon as possible.
What you mentioned is important in terms of getting the experience of enterprise. If you're an enterprise, having a vendor that has the experience there. What I also experience a lot is out of the fear that those issues won't be addressed by smaller vendors. Sometimes enterprise level clients go to enterprises also, like big names go to big names. While at the same time, there is always these question marks about flexibility of the vendor. And so maybe it's also important to note that there are flexible vendors out there who know how to work with enterprise level clients. So maybe broadening the perspective of the listeners in terms of what to look for in a vendor. On one level, there is the awareness about the process, but also there is the flexibility, I believe. So what would you say around that?
Just to work on that point, it is really important for you to work with the right vendor. But before that, I believe it is imperative to understand that the future is digital. And the future is now. So we cannot prepare ourselves for near future in HR with tools of 90s or 2000s. So you have to use new tools. You have to have a set of solutions that you can rely on. And the trend is going in a two-tiered vendor structure for any kind of company, either enterprise or scale up or startup or just a family business. You have to have a core HR solution. And that core HR must deliver a certain level of consistency. That means you have to work with a HR solution that might be around for a long while. On the other hand, you have to implement agile solutions in order to address the elasticity that you mentioned. That agility that most of you will require, most of HR professionals will require. And in that case, you have to find the right balance between onboarding the new tools and utilizing the already in place tools for the goals that you already have. In my experience, it's really difficult to address all the issues with just one solution. If that solution is that's reliable, that means it's too slow, because most of the core HRs, they only implement the things that everybody will use, not to become too bloated as a software. So you have to implement smaller, let's say, in scale solutions in order to address your new needs. Just my recommendation is do not hesitate to embark on dialogues with medium-sized or small-sized solution vendors if they have the experience to work with any kind of enterprise. Believe me, if they solve any enterprise issues, they can solve your issues as well. That's the mindset.
And that completes the first part of our discussion with Dani about coaching technologies. In this first part, we focused on the initiation, design, and development of coaching tech projects. Next week, we will continue our discussion on how to implement and follow up. Stay tuned. So, thank you all for joining us on this episode of the coaching program. Make sure to subscribe to the show in iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you're having your podcasts. If you found this conversation helpful, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or you can simply tell a friend about the show who might benefit from it. Be sure to tune in for our next episode next week, and let's all create more meaningful coaching experiences for everyone. See you all.